Hello, everybody. Bill Thornton, SoCal Saber. Thanks for stopping by. Music Spins and Sounds with Bill. It is Saturday, where I review the music that I listened to this week from my collections and what albums went into, or CDs, vice versa, went into the collections. So we're going to get started. This is episode number 140. I've been doing this. If you're new to the channel, this is a Saturday show that I do to review the music. I've been trying to listen to all my albums one more time, and then I also listen to my CDs one more time. So get a lot of mixture stuff. We're going to open up today here with a 2018 reissue of a 1981 album by King Crimson, Discipline. As you can see up here, I got this from the In Groove. I don't remember if I ordered this or bought this in person. And was remastered on 200-gram vinyl. What do we say? What's it say here? The King 1981 classic, newly cut by Robert Fripp, includes a bonus track, 200 heavyweight vinyl. The original in 1981 was the 8th studio album by King Crimson. And I have 5 LPs and 1 CD in my collection by them. This is a heavy dude. Came in a nice sleeve, protected. This was Crimson's first following a 7-year hiatus. Only co-founder and guitarist Robert Fripp and drummer Bill Bruford remained from the previous incarnations of the band. But did a really good job. The album introduced new sounds for the bands, influenced by new wave, post-punk, and minimalism. Helped laying the groundwork for what would eventually become known as post-progressive. Post-progressive. Does that mean progressive was over? I don't think so. I don't know who comes up with all of these different post this, pre this. I don't know. Kind of hard to keep up unless you're an absolute student and study it every day. I don't study it every day. I listen to music every day, but I don't study the ins and outs of it. So, the Discipline reached number 41 on the UK albums chart and received mixed to positive reviews. It also charted in 7 other charts. only 38 minutes, but it made for some really nice listening today. So for Discipline, this reissue of the 81 album, I'm going to go G plus for the week. What do you think? You guys like King Crimson? Let me know in the remarks down there. Tell me about anything that you like in the music. Any of these ones I'm showing you. At the end now, remember, I'll pick out the 2 what I call my favorites of the week. It just means that they either brought back a lot of memories or I really liked them better than the other ones. Well, we'll see what it is. I have not picked them yet. Okay. The second one I picked up on Whatnot, sealed, and it's from Spin Me Around store on Whatnot. They do a lot of quick sales, low cost, but sealed. And this one here is live in Europe, 1969. This is a 2026 Led Zeppelin bootleg. And in my collection, I have 1 LP, 5 CDs, a 4 CD box set, and a 2 CD box set by Led Zeppelin. How can any real classic rocker not like Zeppelin? This was a limited edition. There's no inner with it. It's a limited edition on a nice blue vinyl. Show you that stuff too. And this music was recorded from when they were on tour prior to their first album coming out. it compromises some of the best moments from that tour, taken from the band's appearances in Stockholm and 14 March in Copenhagen and 17 March 1969. So this was really good. This was showing the people we are good and we're going to become stars, and they did. I really enjoyed hearing this because I got to hear some of the songs that I already know, but all the hip life sticker says live in Europe, limited edition in blue, and some of the stuff, can't quit ya, gotta move, dazed and confused. How many more times? Communications breakdown, and another dazed and confused. Get to hear them in versions that are different from what came out on the album. And I always like when that happens, when I get to hear stuff like that. And never got to see them live. My brother and sisters did. They told me it was a great show. But when I was in the military moving around, if I was in Europe, they would be in the Far East. If I was in the Far East, they'd be in the US or there. So for this Live in Europe 1969 bootleg, which came out in 2026 from about Led Zeppelin, I'm going to give this one a G plus also for the week because I did enjoy this. Nice stuff. Wow. Don't forget, do all that stuff down there that YouTube likes you to do. Hit that like button, and I like you to do especially. And if you're still watching and you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing to help this channel grow. And everybody, tell your friends about the channel so they'll come over. Okay, the third one is a second album out of the a box set that I bought when I was down at Amoeba Records. I did listen to the first one out of there 2 weeks ago, and this is the box set. A Decade of Dio, 83 to 93. And the album that I listened to this week was The Last in Line. Get the original album artwork on it. And this is the 2016 box set reissue of the 1984 album. This now is the second album in my collection by Dio. Of course, I have stuff by Black Sabbath, I have stuff by Rainbow, but not by Dio the band or Dio solo, whichever you want to call it. And this marked the sophomore effort by Ronnie James Dio solo band after leaving Black Sabbath. Does have an inner end here. Well, it was a protective sleeve is what it was, which I don't use if I can get away from it. The album achieved significant commercial success, reaching number 4 in the UK and number 23 in the US. It became the band's highest charting album in both the UK and the US. And this has got some pretty cool looking vinyl on. Pretty cool looking vinyl on this one. Look at this blue with splatter. I haven't talked to them. I got back into listening to my music and buying albums and that. And I wasn't really sure I was really into the colored vinyl and the different types of vinyls. But honestly, I have changed my mind. I really do like them when they look pretty cool like this. And the album, Last in Line, charted on 8 different countries. And overall, this is his highest ranking album ever. But many rankings found it, many likings are. This is the highest charting album by them. But in rankings, many of the rankings rank this number 2 behind Holy Diver. I don't know. I like both of them. And so, The Last in Line, 2016 box set reissue of the 1984 album, it's going to get the G plus this week too. So we got 3 G pluses running right now. Okay. I thinking which one you would pick if you were doing this and picking. So it's time for some CDs. The first CD we got, as you can see, this is number 264. Rubber Soul. This is by the Beatles. This is a 1965 album CD. I have 10 LPs and 10 CDs in the collection. And this was a 6th studio album by the Beatles. Nice little booklet that came out pretty easy for me. Rubber Soul met highly favorable critical response and topping sales charts in Britain and the U.S. for several weeks. This was the second Beatles album to contain only original material. It entered in 9 different charts, peaking at number 1 on 8 of them. Nothing real special about the CD. I'm not sure back in those days if they were doing anything specials with them. I can't remember them all, but it's nice and clean. Try to keep my CDs and albums in good condition. Again, I'll show you the back so you can see the tracks on it. What do you think about that? Norwegian Woods, Nowhere Man, Michelle. That's my daughter's name, Michelle. When I used to sing that when she was little, she used to get so mad at me. I'm looking through In My Life, and Run for Your Life. Really, really good album. So, ladies and gentlemen, Rubber Soul by the Beatles from 1965 gets the first VG of the week. Pretty cool. Then, to my surprise, the very next one in here, number 265, was another Beatles one. This one, a 1987 remaster of 67 release, Magical Mystery Tour. Now, why would I have to have bought these two so close together? What I remember, I remember somebody giving me these for a Christmas present in a little bag, and they had tissue paper, and I pulled them out, and there was the two Beatles. I think that's why. Okay. So now, contrary to what I just told you, now I have 10 LPs and 11 CDs in the collection. Because I entered in these CDs into Discogs as I go along also, and that's how I come up with a lot of these numbers that I'm talking about. Discogs, and I have a homemade database that I've been using for years on Microsoft Access. This was originally written for a TV film and released, and when it was released on 2 7-inch albums put together, and they put them together and looked like a gatefold. I never saw it, but I read about it. Oops. What do we got going here? All right, let's see here. In that package, the two albums had great success in Europe. There was another page there. Especially in the UK. When it came to the US, when it came to releasing this in the US, they decided to not go that route with the double 7-inch records, vinyl records. And so then, and they put it in, and they made an album, and on side 1 of the album was material from the TV film. Inside 2 of the album was songs that were released as singles in 1967. So this was pretty cool, opened up from the film Magical Mystery Tour, and I Am Walrus is there, Hello, Goodbye, Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane, Baby, You're a Rich Man, All I Need Is Love. Lots of really good stuff on here. Their U.S. release made it to #1 in early '68 and stayed there for 8 weeks on its initial run on the charts, which lasted 59 weeks. Crazy good stuff. Beatles were big. Beatles were big. When I say this was 1987 when this came out, I was here in Southern Cal at that time. That I remember the music earlier. This reissue of '87 was made when it was decided to re-release the Beatles catalog. So this was one of the ones that came out. You know, in contrary, and this is not not another fancy one either, even though it came out in '87. So I guess they were sticking with what the original material was. The CD, I don't think this came out in '65 in CD. I think it was part of the re-release. I think I have this on album that I haven't even put into the collection yet. We'll see. There's the back when we were listening to Yellow Submarine, I made a statement about the Beatles as film movies and film music that I really didn't care for all of that much. But this one proved me wrong with that thought. Because, I did really like this. I really liked the music from the film, and I really liked the music that was released as singles in '67. So, not to outdo Rubber Soul, this one gets VG for the week. Magical Mystery Tour. Boy, good stuff. 2 Beatles ones in the same week. That's like listening to an anthology, but the anthologies are a little bit longer. Take longer to listen to. So now we're getting down to those first albums were albums that were new to the collection. Here's the albums that have been in the collection for a week. The first one coming out today is the number 150 in the albums. And this is a 1983 album by Men at Work, Cargo. I think we had the other Men at Work one last week. Some of us liked them and bought them pretty close together. So I have 2 LPs in the collection now. That one and this one. So go figure that. Do we have an inner in here? Yes, we do have an inner. This was the second album by the Australian rock band. There's the lyrics. Pop rock band. I should clarify that. Peaked at #1 in the Australian Kent Music Report albums chart, #2 in New Zealand, #3 in the US's Billboard 200, #8 on the UK's album charts. So this one really was banging away at running up the charts. Four singles released from the album, with Overkill being an international top 10 hit in Canada, Ireland, Norway, and the Billboard Hot 100s. This one charted in 9 different countries. This was the last Men at Work album to feature the original lineup. Maybe that's why we didn't hear too much about them anymore. It's like I told you, the lead guy on here, I forget what his name is right now, but anyway, he was part of the Ringo Starr's All-Star Band when I saw them about 3 years ago. What I really liked about the Ringo Starrs, and I've said this before, is he had people like he had Edgar Winter there, he had this guy there, he had a guy from Toto there, and throughout the concert, they played their music that they had hits on. So it was not just all Ringo Starr music, it was hits from all these different ones. Okay. It's classified as pop rock and new wave. And, when I'm listening and reading about stuff, I kind of think that around that time, 1982, with disco going out, and a lot of stuff was just thrown into the classification of new wave. Because I guess maybe they just really didn't know what to do with it. Anyway, I liked it. Oh, I didn't even show you the album, did I? It's on Columbia. Standard red label, Columbia red label. Okay, so Cargo, the 1983 LP by Men at Work. I liked it. I'm going to give it a G. Good. If you were with me last week, you saw I was giving out Fs in that. All right, so the last one of the week here. Album number 151 is, what year was this one? This was a 1982 LP by Don Henley. I Can't Stand Still. So besides his work with the Eagles, I have 2 LPs and 3 CDs in my collection by Don. This one here was his debut solo album. Looked like he's sitting there, he's thinking about things, looking kind of serious. And I think that his lyrics reflected the seriousness of what he was thinking about in life in general. This has achieved gold status and peaked at number 24 in the Billboard 200 and the same position on the UK albums charts. 3 singles released from it, including my favorite, Dirty Laundry, which peaked at number 3 in the Billboard Hot 100 and became Henley's best-selling single. The title track, I Can't Stand Still, reached 48, and the track Johnny Can't Read reached 42 on the charts. When I was talking about being serious in that, I guess that he was taking a serious look at life and himself and so forth. And of course, everybody knows what Dirty Laundry is about. And, that's probably what brought me to buying this right off the bat was that song. I liked it so much. And I still love it till this day when I hear it, and just his displeasure with the media at the time. Well, I've been displeasured with the media now for quite a few years, and so Dirty Laundry is like boom, right up my alleyway. But he also was very unhappy with the U.S.'s school systems. Did I put that out? Show you that album? I don't know. The school systems, and that's what the song Johnny Can't Read is about. This charted at 8 different countries. And like I said, Dirty Laundry led me to buying this album, and so I Can't Stand Still, for me, is going to get a G+ for the week. So now it's time to pick. And I don't know if it's fair. I'm going to pick one of those VGs for the Beatles, but I don't know if it's fair to pick both of them because of the way they came out in there. So the first one I am going to pick for the week out of the 2 is Rubber Soul. I think I liked Rubber Soul, even though I gave them both BGs. Rubber Soul was probably like a VG plus, or VG, a strong VG, I would say. All right, and then what I'm going to look at again. Okay, let's look at the albums again. Discipline, Live in Europe, Last in Line by Dio, Cargo, I Can't Stand Still. So I think I am going to pick the second one as Discipline from King Crimson. 2018 reissue of the 81 album. I just like King Crimson music a lot, but on any given day, Live in Europe could have been in there. Last in Line by Dio could have been in there. This was a tough week for picking. Which ones would you have picked? Let me know. Thanks for stopping by. Take care of yourselves out there. Have a nice weekend. Be kind to each other. Stay safe.